Hey guys, welcome back to week 2 of our video interview series. I'm Jesse Bauer.
I'm Stephanie Jorge, and today we have Scott from 82 West Home Inspections. Welcome.
Hi guys, thank you for having me.
Yeah, Scott, what can you tell us about yourself?
So I've been doing this for over 10 years. We do home inspections from about Riverview all the way south to Port Charlotte and everywhere in between. Local to the area, and yeah.
Yeah, Scott, you grew up around here, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Out Northwest Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, that whole area was my stomping grounds growing up.
Very
so very
cool.
familiar with the area.
Perfect. So today we're going to cover a little bit about home inspection. So let's start with the basics. Why is a home inspection?
So home inspection is important because we're trained to come in and look at different components of the house that you might not think about as you're going through and looking at the 20 different houses that you're trying to decide on which one you want to buy. We also come in with a lot of specialized equipment that help us see certain things that might not be visible to the naked eye. Definitely very important in protecting your assets that you're purchasing.
Perfect.
One of the things you just mentioned was some of the specialized equipment. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're using in the field?
So my favorite thing that I show up to every inspection with is the thermal imager. So for example, yesterday, ceiling that had no signs of moisture or anything, and luckily we've had a lot of rain lately. Shine the moisture or the thermal imager on it, and it starts glowing in that color. Clues us right into the fact that there's moisture there. Like I said, it can show you things that are not visible right away.
Okay.
Cool.
So any other equipment you'd like to share with us?
We also use a moisture meter going around to all the different areas. So anything that might clue in as having moisture on it, we can get an accurate reading. It is Florida, there's a lot of humidity in a lot of places. So we look at the ranges using that moisture meter and kind of dial it in better from there.
That was my next question because you mentioned moisture, and that's a really big concern for people when they're moving to Florida or purchasing a home in Florida.
It absolutely is. And one of the things that we've done is we have great relationships throughout the community. Good thing about growing up here is you get, a lot of the people that I run around with when I was a kid, they now work for companies of different trades and everything. So one phone call away, we can have one of the local mitigation companies come out, check for moisture. If they find anything, they give you a solution right away. That's the main thing that we try to do with this company is just speed up all the processes for the buyers and for you guys to have all these contacts out there that we can call on right away.
That's great.
Yeah. I know in my experience, I've used some of the guys that you've recommended in the past. So, when we have you come out to do an inspection and you find something that could be a red flag, do you want to talk about some of those major red flags that a buyer should be looking for?
Absolutely. So the main things that I would encourage you to look for when you're going house shopping is the age of the roof. If you get a regular composite shingle roof, you're looking at about 20 years life expectancy. For metal, you're around 30, and for tile, you're around 30 as well. You can go on the property appraiser's website before you even go out. If you're extremely interested, you can pull all of those dates off of that site. The other thing would be the age of the AC system and any kind of moisture. Those are the red flags that we most commonly see. Electrical issues, you kind of need to dive into some of the components to find those, but right out of the gate, you can show up and you can know the dates on the different components.
Right.
Perfect.
It's really important.
Question. So the inspection that you do, what does it cover? What is everything? What aspects of the home are you looking at? You already mentioned the main things that you need to focus on, but what else are you looking for when you go out to a home?
So for a home inspection, we're looking at everything that is visible. It's a non-invasive inspection, meaning we can't take anything apart, we can't move anything out of the side. But that's where the thermal imager comes in, is it helps us see things that, behind drywall, that we wouldn't be able to go through and just cut holes in drywall to look around. I try to touch every component of that house that I can. That way I'm giving the buyers the best,
Definitely.
best idea of what they're getting into.
Right, it's really important. And for the last couple of years, I mean, we've had people waiving inspections, which is just so scary to me. But at that point, it's what it takes to get the job done and get them in that home. So I'm happy to see that we're starting to see that shift in the market where buyers can negotiate their terms that better fit their needs. So that's exciting. Another thing I want to mention is you're a local firefighter. I don't know if you mentioned that to begin with, but is there anything that you're able to utilize from your career as a fireman and your knowledge as a fireman?
I would say that my background being a firefighter kind of opens me up to a lot of different things that have just occurred in people's houses, relating to fires or safety hazards or anything else. So it definitely gives me a more broad view of the different kind of dangers that can be inside of a house, yes.
Sure, yeah.
Especially with electrical issues, definitely points me in a better direction when I start.
Right.
Okay, so now that we see those inspection contingencies coming back into play, we still want to make sure that our buyers get their inspections done as soon as possible and in a short period of time. How fast would you have the inspection report ready?
So we always deliver our inspection reports within 2 hours. That's our golden rule, but typically it's about a half an hour you have the reports in your hand.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
That's great.
I know I've gotten them pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and then I'm surprised how quickly you get them out. So it's been pretty helpful.
Besides the moisture that you mentioned before, is there any other concern here in Florida specific? Because we do have a lot of buyers that have experience purchasing before in other states, but obviously the weather is different than in Florida. What other things do they need to look into, or other inspections that they need to get done?
So number one would be the air conditioning. I mean, that's pretty important here in this Florida, right? So when it comes to air conditionings, you have to have them serviced and cleaned every 6 months. And it sounds like something that just gets thrown around just to kind of, cover, our report, but it is very important to have that done. Our AC systems run pretty much year round. And if you don't stay on top of it, small things can create big issues.
Right.
The other thing is, it doesn't just rain here, vertically, it rains sideways. So, especially during hurricane season, the wind's blowing everything all around.
Yeah.
Make sure you're caulking around all of your windows. Make sure that there's no openings on the outside of the house that'll let the moisture come in. And the other main thing is tied back to the air conditioning unit. One of the portions of conditioning the air when it comes to an air conditioning unit is removing the moisture from the home.
Okay.
So I see a lot of times people are leaving their ACs at 82, 84 when they go out of town.
And this
But then the
is
humidity
really
is
important
building
because
up.
we have a lot of vacationers that might be down here for only half the year, but they turn their air conditioning off or they turn it really high, and then those hot months where people don't want to be around locally, that's something that you're talking about, right? I mean, you don't want that moisture to build up in the system or in the home. You can build mold spores and
Which is where a humidistat comes in handy, because
Right.
then you're paying attention to the humidity in the house and not so much about the temperature.
right.
Perfect. And then what is a 4-point mitigation report or
So
inspection? I'm sorry.
Yep, 4-point inspection is something that's required by certain homeowners insurances, depending on the age of the house. So that's looking at the 4 pieces of the property being the roof, the air conditioning, the plumbing, and the electrical. On this form, it gives us a list of hazards that we go out and check for. And any of the hazards that are found, we report back to the insurance company, and it basically gives them a scale of
How insurable the
how
property
insurable the property is.
Right.
And then based on the findings, there are repairs that need to be made, and
Right.
it goes from there.
And another thing that you provide is wind mitigation, correct?
Correct. So wind mitigation shows how the house would stand up against a hurricane. It's looking for if you have any kind of opening protection on the windows, garage door, front doors, or anything. What type of roofing materials are being used with the nails and the shingles or whatever type you have, the roof shape. And then the main one is how the roof is tied down to the outside wall.
Okay.
Another thing that some of my buyers are concerned about, termites.
Termites.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all over Florida, but
Yes, they are.
it doesn't mean that it's a huge concern. I know that you've come across some in your days.
Exactly, and that's where having regular inspections on your property, even after you purchase it, that's where that comes into handy. If they're able to spot it right away, most of the time it can be an easy fix. Most of the properties that I see that have extensive termite damage have not had an inspection in quite a while. But we at 82S Home Inspections don't do termite inspections, but we have, just like with everyone else, we have amazing relationships where we make a phone call when the inspection's booked, and 99% of the time they're standing there at the exact same time as us. And we prefer this method better because then you have the person there who would also be the person making the repairs. So we see that as speeding it up for everyone else.
And you've talked about some of those relationships you have, but is there anything you're doing to connect with other local vendors to help with some of the repairs? And
so one thing we're working on now is with a local electrician and plumber company, and we're getting basically together a price sheet that will aid in you guys. Now it's all estimates. It all depends on what they find when they get out there, but it's a great starting place for everybody. So once we come out, we find an issue, we can refer back to our sheet, and we can give you guys an idea of what the repair cost is going to be. These companies are also, able to come out within the next couple business days and wrap everything up.
great.
And that's something that definitely helps us in our work as well, because it helps us negotiate any credits necessary on the buyer side or whoever we're representing as far as like what needs to get done and how much approximately it's going to cost.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think there was one other thing I wanted to ask you. Tell us maybe your biggest horror story, or what have you come across that you've been like, in all my years, this is the craziest thing I've seen.
Well, you know, in Florida we also have a lot of insects running around, and it's always fun when you stick your head up in a dark attic that's hot. You don't want to be there anyways because it's hot and it's small and sharp objects everywhere. And you shine your flashlight around and you see eyes staring back at you.
Oh my
That's
God.
the moment where you have to try and
Keep
decipher
your cool.
how big the eyes are if you think you can win this fight.
Oh, gotcha. Oh my God.
Right, because you got a job to do. You got to get
Yeah,
in
yeah,
there and
yeah.
inspect things, and I'm
Yep.
sure you end up doing it anyway. But
Yeah, still do.
yeah. Cool. Well, it was a pleasure to have you. We're so grateful, and if there's any additional questions anyone might have, please drop them in the comments. We have Stephanie and I both have a direct line of contact with Scott, and he's a good friend of ours. So please, if you have any questions, drop them, and we'll get them answered for you. And Stephanie, do you have anything else to say?
No, thank you for watching our video, and keep on, stay tuned for the next one. If you have further questions, like Jesse mentioned, leave them in the comments, and we're sure to bring Scott a second time around.
Yeah, cool. And I'll put Scott's information down below in a link. And thank you, everyone. Join us next couple weeks. We'll have some more content for you.